My name is Ruth Lundell, and I would like to share with you a way to learn to play piano in a short period of time. If you want to play Bach or Beethoven, this may not be the way to learn, but if you're interested in popular music, hymns, and Christmas carols, this is a good way to start. I will play the Star Spangled Banner for you with the notes that are written on the page. It's a very simple version, and then I will play it with chords. Now I will play it with chords. It is possible to play chords in the left hand and the melody in the right, or play the chords in the left hand and beneath the melody in the right, for instance, putting the whole chord there. If you are accompanying someone, it often works well to use chords in both hands for a full sound. Good luck. The first thing I want to share with you is that the piano is 7 notes repeated over and over. The only difference is that they may be high or low. The notes are labeled by the first 7 letters of the alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They are played over and over. There are tricks to help you remember where the notes are located. The note C is to the left of the 2 black notes. The note F is to the left of the 3 black notes. And that's true up and down the piano. Now you can name every white key. Remember, they are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, used over and over. We'll now play all of the A's. B, C, D, E, F, G. And now we're back to A. When you look at the piano, you see that there are 2 places where there are no black notes in between the 2 white notes. The distance between these white notes is 1/2 step. From here to here, from here to here. The distance between a white note and a black note next to it is 1/2 step. From here to here is a 1/2 step. From here to here is a 1/2 step. 2 halves make a whole. So from here to here is a whole step. The distance between 2 white notes that have a black note in the middle is a whole step. A to B is a whole step. B to C is a 1/2 step. Now let's move on to lesson 2. The hardest part of learning music is reading the notes as they are written on the grand staff. The upper part of the grand staff is called the treble staff. A treble clef or G clef sign is used at the beginning of this staff. Middle to high notes are written on this staff. The lower part of the grand staff is called the bass staff. A bass clef or F clef sign is used at the beginning of this staff. Middle to low notes are written on this staff. The treble and bass staffs are joined together by a brace and a bar line to form the grand staff. The notes on the grand staff are as follows, starting with a low F going to a high G. Notice that the middle C is written on an extra line we call a ledger line. Ledger lines can be used above and below the grand staff. For our purposes, we need to learn the notes in the treble clef. The lines on the grand staff are arranged by alphabet skips. The line names are G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G, B, D, F. The spaces on the grand staff are arranged by alphabet skips. The spaces are named F, A, C, E, G, B, D, F, A, C, E, G. For our purposes, though, you need to learn only the treble lines and spaces. Sharps. The sharp sign forms a square on a line or in a space. A sharp before a note means to play the next key to the right. Flats. A flat sign forms a rounded part on a line or in a space. A flat before a note means to play the next key to the left. Flats go down. This is a natural sign on a line or in a space. A natural before a note cancels a sharp or flat. If there is a sharp or flat next to the treble and bass clef signs, it means you must sharp or flat those notes throughout the song. It will not be written in for you. For example, this is a B flat. The reason I know that, every good boy, it's on the B line. This is a B flat, and when that B flat comes in when that B comes in the song, you must flat it. Play it to the left. These are the notes you need to learn. Every good boy does fine. E, G, B, D, F. These are the spaces you need to know. F, A, C, E. It spells face, but try to remember individually what those notes are. And below is a worksheet. Remember that you do not have to do the bass notes unless you want to. The bass notes are shown. They are not necessary for our purposes. Notes can be played individually or in a chord. A chord is every other note played at the same time. If you use every other note and every other finger, you will play a chord. Since we have only 7 notes and they are in order A, B, C, D, E, F, G, chords are made up of every other letter and every other note. A, C, E, B, D, F, C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, and G, B, D. And then we start over again. It is important that you memorize the next 7 chords and the symbol that stands for them. They are as follows: A, which is A, C sharp, E. B, B, D sharp, F sharp. C, C, E, G. D, D, F sharp, A. E, E, G sharp, B. F, F, A, C. G, G, B, D. I will play them over and over for you, and you should go to the piano and do the same. A major, B major, C major, D major, E major, F major, and G major. Play them over and over again until you know them. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Practice them over and over again and memorize them. If you lower the third of the 7 major chords that you have learned, you will have 7 minor chords. The symbol for the major chord is a capital letter. The symbol for a minor chord is a small m next to the capital letter. It would be A minor, B minor, C minor, D minor, E minor, F minor, and G minor. And you now know 14 chords. Play them over and over again. A major, lower the third, A minor. B major, lower the third, B minor. C major, lower the third, C minor. D major, lower the third, D minor. E major, lower the third, E minor. F major, lower the third, F minor. G major, lower the third, G minor, and then you're back at A. Let's do it one more time. A major, A minor. B major, B minor. C major, C minor. D major, D minor. E major, E minor. F major, F minor, G major, G minor. Do them over and over again until you memorize them. Now let's move to Lesson 6. The B flat and E flat chords are important to learn also. They are B flat, D, F. If you lower the third, you have B flat minor, and then E flat major, E flat, G, B flat. If you lower the third, you have E flat minor. There are many more chords, but for now, these will allow you to play a lot of music. The diminished chord has a lowered third and fifth. It is written like this, A, D, I, M. If I play an A major chord and I lower the third and the fifth, I will have an A diminished chord. The augmented chord has a raised fifth. If I play the A chord as a major chord, this is what it looks like. If I raise the fifth, I go up the half step, and this is the augmented chord. It is written with a capital letter and a plus next to it. A major, A augmented. And you can do that to all of the major chords. A chord is made by playing 1, 3, 5. If you play the 1, 3, 5, 7, you will be playing a seventh chord. An example would be G, B, D, F. It would be notated as G7 on the music sheet. From G to F is a seventh, and that's why you call it a 7 chord. Before we go further, we need to make sure that you know the 7 minor chords, the 7 major chords, the B flat and E flat chords. Now add the 7th to them. A major 7, B major 7, C major 7, D major 7, E major 7, F major 7, and G7. You can also add that 7th to all of the minor chords. Do that yourself. There are 3 7 chords that are very important. You need to become familiar with them. The G7, the C7, and the D7. It is good to learn the abbreviated versions of these chords. I will show them to you now. G7 in root position. The way I got the 7th is it is 7 notes away from this G. 1, 3, 5, 7. Now the abbreviated G7, if I pick up the G and put it on top, lift this finger, I will have the G7 abbreviated chord. It will go quickly to a C chord. G7, C. Now the C7 chord, C, E, G, B flat. And this is the C7 in root position. I'm going to pick up the root or the C and put it on top, like this. And lift this finger up, and we will have the C7 abbreviated chord. It will go quickly to an F. C7, F. Now let's do the D7 chord. D, F sharp, A, and add the 7th. Pick up the D, put it on top. Lift up this finger, and we have D7 abbreviated. You can see that, and then it moves easily to a G chord. D7, G. It is good to memorize these chords because they will truly be helpful to you when you're playing actual music. Now that you know the 14 chords, major and minor, plus E flat and B flat, you are ready to expand the use of these chords. There are 3 ways you can use these chords. In root position, C, E, G. In first inversion, which is picking up the C and putting it on top. Second inversion, I pick up the C and the E and put it on top. And if I pick up the G and put it on top, I'm back in root position. C, first inversion, second inversion. Play the chords up the piano with your right hand and then your left hand. We will do it first with the A major chord. If you start with the right hand, and you're back in root position with the A chord. B major chord, put the B on top, put the D sharp on top, you're back in root position. C major, which we did already, and back in root position. D major, put the D on top, put the D and F on top, and we're back in root position. E major, put the E on top, now put the G on top, and you're back in root position. F, first inversion, second inversion, back in root position. G, first inversion, second inversion, back in root position. I'll show you how to do it with the left hand. A major, pick up the A and put it on top, pick up the C sharp and put it on top, back in root position. B, put the B on top, put the D sharp on top, and put the F sharp on top, and you're back in root position. C, back in root position. D, back in root position. Back in root position. F, G. Pick up the G and put it on top. Pick up the B and put it on top. You're back in root position. And you're back to A. Practice those up and down the piano so that you can use them when you need them. Now we'll move on to Lesson 9. The time signature is at the beginning of the music. 4/4 means there are 4 1/4 or quarter notes to a measure. The top number tells how many of the bottom notes to a measure. The notes that you learn are just like the apple the math teacher divided in order to learn fractions. A whole note is divided into 4 quarters. This would represent the whole apple, the whole note. This half note is like a half of the apple. The quarter note is like a fourth or a quarter of the apple. And this 8 would be like the eighth of the pie. The 16th note would be one little section of that apple. A whole note is equal to 2 halves, 4 quarters, 8 eighths, or 16 16th notes, or a combination thereof. The thing that you really need to remember is that a whole note gets 4 counts. A half note gets 2 counts. A quarter note gets 1 count. There are 2/8 notes equaling a quarter note. There are 4 16th notes that equal a quarter note. 4/4 means 4 beats to a measure. The bottom means it is a quarter note that gets the beat. This could be a 3 on top and a 4 on the bottom. Then there would be 3 beats to the measure and the quarter note would get the beat. This could be a 3 on top and an 8 on the bottom. That would mean there would be 3 eighth notes to the measure and the 8th note would get the beat. This could be 5 on top and 16 on the bottom, representing that 16th note. Then there would be 5 16th notes to a measure. The top tells how many of the bottom kind of notes. A dot to the right of a note is equal to half of the note preceding it. A dot after a half note is equal to a quarter note. If the quarter note gets the beat, then a dotted half note will get 3 beats. This dot is equal to half of this note. And half of a half note is a quarter, so that dot is equal to a quarter note. There are 2 beats in the half note and 1 in the quarter note. So that note would get 1, 2, 3 beats. Here the quarter note gets 1, 2, 3 beats. And here that dotted half gets 1, 2, 3 beats also. The dot could be next to a quarter note, and then the dot would be equal to an eighth note. Half of the note that precedes it is what the dot is equal to. It's time to play. You can play the melody in the right hand and the chords in the left hand, or you can play the chords in both hands while you accompany an instrument or a person singing. If you play the chords in the left hand and the right hand, you will have a very full sound, but being able to do that does take a lot of practice. Now, practice playing the right hand of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. If you have to, write the notes in, but try not to continue doing that. You need to memorize what the notes are. I'll say them with you. C, C, G, G, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C. G, G, F, F, E, E, D, G, G, F, F, E, E, D, C, C, G, G, A, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C. Now let's look at the chords that are written above the treble clef here. You see these chords here? These are the ones that we have been talking about, and now they're written here above this treble clef. There are only 3 chords in this whole song. You can play them in root position, and we'll do it in root position first. The C chord, skip up to the F chord, go down to the G7, and back to the C. Those are the only chords used in here. There are 3 of them. Let's practice doing it very slowly with the chord in root position. C chord, F, C, F, C, G7, C, C, F, C, G7, C, F, C, G7, C, and you can play the C again, F, C, F, C, G7, C. Now I would like to show you how to use inverted chords that will make this much easier for you. The C chord and the F chord have a note in common. It is the C. You have C here, and you have C at the end of the F chord, F-A-C. Well, what if we left this C here when we're going to play the F chord? And so we'll go C chord and play the F chord like this, F-A-C. So we hold that C. And then we use that abbreviated G7 chord that we learned, and back, and we can play C at the end there, whatever comes next in the song. Do that again. This is a C chord, this is the F chord, this is the G7, this is C. Let's try it and use those inverted chords. F. See, I don't really have to move my hand much at all now. G7, C, C, F, G7, C, F, C, G7, C, C again, F, C, F, C, G7, C. You'd be amazed the number of songs that have only 3 chords. You may even find some that have just 2. Now we'll learn the chords for the Star Spangled Banner. In the left hand now. C, G major, A minor, E7, A minor, D7, G, C, G, G7, C. Now we will move on to the second ending, which is a continuation with the C chord, changing to a G7 chord, back to a C, a G, a C, a G7, back to a C, a G, a G7, C, A minor, D major 7, G, G7, C, D minor 7, C, F, A major 7, D minor, C, G, G7, C, D7, C, G7, C. Now, in that you have already practiced this, let's put both hands together. I have one last tip for you, and that is, what do you do if there's a chord that you don't know what it is? You test to find out what that chord is, and there's a way to do it. A major chord sounds like the song Kumbaya. Listen to it. Kumbaya. All right, let's say that you have a D flat chord in a song that you want to play. Put your finger on D flat and then find the 3 and 5. Does that sound like Kumbaya? Kumbaya. Doesn't, does it? We need to move the middle one. Let's see if that works. Kumbaya. That is a major chord. If you test it with the song Kumbaya, you can tell if that is the correct way to spell the chord. Rewind the tape as many times as you need to. It's a wonderful thing about tape. Practice does make perfect. Just think you already can play a C to a G7 chord very quickly, and you can learn the rest of the chords that easily also. Look at the other songs in this book. There are many that you will be able to play right now. And then go to the music store and find music that you like. That is the important thing. Play what you want to play. If you want to play Christmas carols, you may need to ask for them. They don't put them out sometime until the Christmas season, and you want to have them ahead of time so that you will be ready by the time Christmas season comes. And you should be able to play all the carols with chords. I hope that you have enjoyed what you have learned in the Quick Start Piano course and will enjoy it for years to come.